Production support for this episode of WTIU's High School Basketball has been provided by Quick Hits, the app that follows local high school sports. Herald Times sports reporters send real-time updates to your mobile device. To find it, go to your app store and search Quick Hits.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another installment of Indiana High School Basketball, brought to you by WTIU. I'm Galen Clavio. It is a pleasure to be joining you this afternoon as Bloomington South, trying to erase a two-game losing streak, takes on their Conference Indiana foes, the Pike Red Devils, here on J.R. Holmes Court in Bloomington. Should be quite an interesting contest as we move forward here tonight. Well, Bloomington South coming into this contest 9-4 on the season, facing their first two-game losing streak in quite a while. I'm joined on this broadcast by Tony Adrania. And Tony, this is kind of uncharted territory for this Bloomington South squad.
This is a Bloomington South team that has never really faced trouble like this since 2005 was the last time they lost back-to-back games. They lost this past weekend to Martinsville and to Franklin Central. And the last time they lost two games in a weekend, Galen, was in 2002. So this, like you said, this is uncharted territories for Bloomington South. Coach J.R. Holmes was not happy with the effort at Franklin Central. He said that nobody's position is secure on this team. And he said this week in practice was really going to be a telltale sign of who was going to be inserted in the game and who was getting big playing time. So that'll be something to keep our eye on tonight.
Yeah, that Franklin Central game, really a tough one for Bloomington South. They lose 71-52. They were out-rebounded 36-19. They allowed the Flashes to shoot 64% for the game. I mean, this is very uncharacteristic stuff for a Bloomington South team that really has been dominant in almost every phase of the game over the last 3 years. They face off against a Pike squad that's been a little up and down themselves. 9-5 so far on the campaign. Most of their losses are perfectly understandable. I mean, they lost the first game of the year at North Central. They had a little bit of trouble against Warren Central, lost a very close one on their home floor. Struggled at the end of the county tournament. They lost on a neutral floor to Ben Davis and then turned around and lost to Carmel. But this is still a Pike team that's got a tremendous amount of talent, and Coach Bill Zick really has to like what he's seen out of his squad at certain times this year. Yeah,
as you mentioned, Galen, a 9-5 team, but they're much better than their record. They've played a lot of teams. Their 5 losses come against teams that arguably could be sectional champions. So when we look at this Pike team, we look at R.J. Hunter, the son of Coach Ron Hunter at Georgia State, averaging close to 21 points per game. He's going to be their key guy tonight. This is a Pike team that likes to play up-tempo. They're averaging just over 70 points per game, so it's going to be a fun one to watch because Bloomington South likes to get up and down and run too.
Bloomington South trying to get to double digits in victories tonight. We'll see if they can do it. They lost their last contest of last season to Pike. That was the last loss they had. Then they went on that run that culminated in a state title. We'll see what happens. Along with Tony Adrani, I'm Galen Clavio. This is Indiana High School Basketball on WTIU.
WTIU wants to know what you think of this or any other program. To make a comment, leave a message on our viewer response line at 855-0501 or send an email to wtiu@indiana.edu and tell us what you think.
O'er the ramparts we watched, were so
As we get set for our basketball contest tonight, we welcome you back to WTIU's coverage of Indiana high school basketball. Galen Clavio here along with Tony Adrania. And as the celebrants get off the court here after the playing of the national anthem, we go ahead and get set with tonight's contest. Now, Tony, we talked a little bit in the introduction about how these two teams match up overall in the state. How do you think these two teams match up against one another? What are the strengths and weaknesses of each team?
Well, obviously, Pike is a team that has always been known. They're going to get out and run, and they're going to try to get as many fast breaks as they possibly can. Whereas Bloomington South, they'll take the fast break, but a lot of times they're going to set up a set. They've got a lot of good shooters. They're going to try to get their shooters open, running them off the ball screens. So they match up pretty well together, though, and it's going to be a back-and-forth game. I mean, this isn't a game that is typical of Conference Indiana basketball. Most Conference Indiana basketball is tough defense, slower pace, but this game is going to be at a faster pace, and that's because these are two teams, Pike averaging 70 a game, and Bloomington South averaging 60 a game. That's rare in Conference Indiana, but these are two of the best offensive teams in the entire conference.
Of course, Bloomington South is part of this two-game losing streak that they're currently experiencing. It's not all of the team that's going through this. They're missing a couple of key components. Senior Michael Bauer still suffering from some concussion-like symptoms. Looks like he's going to be out once again. And the sophomore center, Isaiah Gooch, out as well. What sort of impact does that have on this squad?
It's a huge impact. Michael Bauer, I mean, he's one of the few returners from last season that got any action with that state championship team. He's a senior leader, and he's that guy that is an energy guy, and he'll do all the little things that really go unnoticed on the stat sheet. Then you look at Isaiah Gooch, I mean, he's the biggest guy on this Bloomington South team at 6'6". That's a big loss when you lose your biggest interior man.
Pike, as we mentioned earlier, coming into this contest with 5 losses, none of them really bad. This is obviously a very athletic Pike squad, and a lot of that starts with R.J. Hunter, who obviously comes from a very nice pedigree as far as basketball is concerned.
Yeah, R.J. Hunter, as I mentioned earlier, the son of Georgia State head coach Ron Hunter, formerly of IUPUI. He's a very great player. I mean, he can do it all. He can shoot the ball, he can get to the rim, and he can finish at the rim. And he's just a complete player, and Bloomington South's going to have their hands full trying to cover him up tonight.
Bloomington South did not have a very good contest against Franklin Central on Saturday of last week. The one offensive bright spot for this squad in that game was the sophomore Keaton Hendricks. Hendricks able to come up with 14 points and really the only sort of guiding light for this team offensively. Other players have to show up and play better if this team's going to hope to come out of this contest with a victory.
Yeah, Keaton Hendricks is one of those guys that he's really kept this Bloomington South team going all season. He's really been their only consistent offensive player, and as you mentioned, Galen, they're going to need some more shots from guys like Johnny Jager and things like that to really get things going for this offense and open some things up, and then let Keaton Hendricks also do his thing.
For Bloomington South, of course, the road doesn't get a whole lot easier going forward. Next week, they have a neutral court game against Columbus North, and then a couple of tough road games, Center Grove on February 9th, and at Warren Central on February 11th. They've struggled a little bit with Warren Central's athleticism in the past. They finish up with their last Conference Indiana game of the year on February 17th against Perry Meridian before Evansville, Harrison, and Decatur Central close things out.
Yeah, and with this Bloomington South team, this is a big game tonight if they want to stay in any sort of contention for the Conference Indiana Championship. They're 2-2 right now in the conference. Pike is at 4-0, leading the conference alongside Franklin Central. If Bloomington South wins this game, they put themselves right back up there. They may be just a game or two behind, depending on how Franklin Central fares this evening as well. So this is a big game for them, and I'm sure J.R. Hunter's put that in their heads this week, and I bet they've had a great week of practice after everything they went through last weekend and the poor effort against Franklin Central. And I expect to see a motivated Bloomington South team coming out tonight.
You see J.R. Holmes there in the huddle trying to give some last-minute instructions. Earlier on, you saw Coach Bill Zick, who hasn't been at Pike that long, but he's got a very long and storied history in Indiana high school basketball.
Yeah, Zick, he started quite some time ago, worked his way up the ranks, was at Center Grove for quite some time, had a lot of success there. Went to Perry, won a sectional championship with Max Landis, who was at Gardner Webb. You may remember him torching the IU team just a few weeks back. But yeah, and then he ended up at Pike after he won that sectional against Perry, and here he is now.
Starting lineup for this Pike squad. Number 3, Xavier Turner, 5'8", a junior for this squad. Also Warren Gordon, you can see him there wearing number 10, a 5'11 senior at guard. R.J. Hunter, we've talked about him already, 6'6", a senior, and looking to play college ball. Number 40, Jonte Alexander, 6'4", a senior. And rounding out the starting lineup for Pike, another junior for this squad, Jamie Rutherford, 6 feet 5 inches tall. The height of this Pike squad probably going to cause a little bit of an issue for Bloomington South.
Definitely going to cause some issues for Bloomington South. They don't have a lot of height, and Keaton Hendricks is probably their tallest guy, and he doesn't play on the interior. He plays on the exterior. He shoots a lot of three-point shots. So they're going to have a hard time containing Pike's size and athleticism this evening.
The Alan Parsons Project getting set to announce the Bloomington South squad here, as you can hear the crowd coming to life behind. You can see some of their heads as they stand up. The starting lineup, of course, has seen some alterations with the aforementioned injuries to Bauer and Gooch. But the current members of the starting lineup, a little bit younger than you would normally see out of a J.R. Holmes coached team, but trying to keep the fires burning for the Panthers. Number 10, Trey Washington, the only senior in the starting lineup right now, standing 5 feet 9 inches tall. He is the point guard for this squad, has done a very good job so far this year in that role. The youngest member of the starting lineup, Johnny Jager, a freshman, 5 feet 10 inches tall, has shown a deft touch from long range. Jonathan Winters has played quite well over the last couple of weeks, either off the bench or in the starting lineup. 6 feet 2 inches tall, a junior is Winters. Keaton Hendricks being announced, although Aaron McCoy was getting up there and being announced. And then you can see Aaron McCoy, 6 feet tall, a junior for this Panthers squad. So that rounds it out. Hendricks, a sophomore, stands 6 feet 5 inches tall. These two teams now getting set out there on the floor.
Galen, you mentioned Trey Washington. Trey Washington is really going to be the leader on the floor for this team tonight. As you mentioned, he's the lone senior, and he's also their point guard, so he has to take care of the ball tonight, and this team will go as he goes.
It will be Rutherford jumping against Winters. And Winters giving up a little bit in the height column, but not terribly much.
Wouldn't be surprised to even see Bloomington South come out in the zone tonight just to try to combat some of Pike's athleticism.
Tip is controlled by the Red Devils as we get started.
As you can see, no help on R.J. Hunter. They're face guarding him all the way down the floor.
Rutherford off to Alexander. And a shot taken there by Turner, no good. Rebound picked up and put in, however, by Jonte Alexander. So the first 2 points of the game are scored by Pike.
Right on cue, too, Galen. We were mentioning that Pike's size is going to give Bloomington South some problems to get an offensive rebound and a bucket.
And that shot high and no good there. Bounces off the rim by McCoy. And check that was Winters. Pike loses the ball. Nice job there on the reach in. And quickly the other direction. Here comes Washington. Lays it up and in.
Trey Washington, as I mentioned, he's really going to be the leader for this team tonight. He gets a quick, easy bucket, maybe get some confidence going for Bloomington South.
So the score tied early on here, and shot up, no good. Long-range shot missed there by Turner. And now Hendricks drops it down low. Bit of a zone look being thrown up here, and a foul going to be called, a reach in, and they're going to nail R.J. Hunter for that. That's his first. So Hunter picks up his first foul. And the inbounds pass put up no good, and that shot missed by Hendricks and pulled out of there by Hunter.
The length of Hunter really giving Hendricks some problems there.
Shot no good on the other end here. That one missed by Gordon. Now Hendricks moving the baseline. He'll put up his second attempt of the night. No good there either. So South having some problems offensively, but then again, so is Pike. Nice block there by Winters.
Beautiful block by Winters, gets the crowd on their feet, gets a little energy coming in this building, and maybe Bloomington South can possibly build on that here.
So the block shot by Winters, and our first substitution for either squad is going to be Jimmy Cross coming into the basketball game, and he's going to replace Hendricks, who's had a little bit of trouble so far offensively in this contest.
Interesting substitution there. As we've mentioned, Keaton Hendricks is one of the few bright spots for this Bloomington South offense over the last couple of weeks, but R.J. Hunter and company are giving him some struggles on the offensive end.
Hunter misses that shot. He's scoreless so far. And here's Jaeger with an open three. Got it to go.
It's something that Bloomington South is going to have to continue to do, getting open looks and knocking those open looks down if they want a chance to beat Pike this evening.
A 5-2 lead early on here for Bloomington South. And a good start so far for the Panthers, as Pike has really looked a little bit tentative on offense.
Looking tentative and looking just somewhat sluggish. As you can see on the replay here, Johnny Jaeger knocking down the three-point bucket. As I mentioned, that's something he's going to have to continue to do the rest of the evening. And when we look at this Pike team, I mean, they're struggling mightily on the offensive end. Not a lot of movement, just a lot of shots off really no passes. And Pike is somebody that really a team that thrives on assists and moving the ball around. So I'm sure that Coach Zick lit a fire in them in the timeout, and I'm sure they'll come out a little more inspired here.
Turner bringing the ball up the floor. Now passed off, handed around there on the perimeter. The cross court to Turner, his three up and no good, and chased down that rebound there did Jonte Alexander.
Another really ill-advised shot. Pike has a size advantage, a mighty size advantage. They have to go inside, as you can see him doing right here.
And that shot blocked away, but it is picked up on the rebound, and Jonte Alexander.
Second time he's been able to do that, getting a putback. Bloomington South is really going to have to put a body on him, box him out, and pull down the defensive rebound.
Well, they're going to say, well, originally thought it was going to be a foul called on Hunter, but they're going to say the foul there was on Winters. It was a little bit of an unusual play. Actually, that might have been McCoy, but regardless, J.R. Holmes, as you can see there, not at all happy about that, saying his man was going for the ball.
Quite the odd call there, but Pike gets the advantage here.
So Pike trailing by one. The only Red Devil that scored so far tonight has been Jonte Alexander. He'll have another shot here and is fouled. And probably a good foul committed there by Jimmy Cross as he stuck his hand in and knocked the ball away.
Very good foul. I mean, he's going to the basket. It's a lone Pike scorer thus far. Not a huge scorer for Pike, but they're taking advantage of the size, or he is at least, getting rebounds. And on this last bucket, we'll see how he does on the free throws.
Substitution now. Hendricks going to come in, and Cross is going to sit down.
Alexander, 16 of 24 from the free throw line this season, 66%.
So 1 of 2 there for Pike at the free throw line, and now the other direction, here come the Panthers. Jaeger being triple teamed, he'll get it across. Nice pass down low, Winters layup no good, and Hunter able to come out of there with it.
That's one Winters is going to have to be able to finish there for Bloomington South for them to stay with Pike tonight.
And there's a nice little touch there by Jamie Rutherford down low, and Pike with their first lead since the opening possession, 7-5. Little press being applied here now, and Hendricks, little trouble in the corner, but he gets it out.
Bloomington South doing a pretty good job thus far breaking Pike's pressure and getting easy buckets, as you can see right there.
Winters able to pick up that shot. South 2 for 4 so far from the floor. 7-7 the score. And a nice shot there on the mover across the free throw line there by Xavier Turner. And the officials coming in and trying to calm down Alexander and Winters. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving going on there, looks like.
It was a big bucket for Turner, too. He struggled a little bit. Took a few shots, kind of ill-advised shots. So for him to get that one to fall, get a little confidence going is huge.
South trailing by 2. McCoy handling the basketball off to Washington. Nice feed to Jaeger, and a runner gets it to go.
Beautiful runner there by Johnny Jaeger. Wasn't quite sure he was going to get that one off over the taller Pike players, but he did, and it sent it through.
About 3.5 minutes left in this first quarter of play, and so far South's been able to match Pike blow for blow. Now here's a long three up and good by Xavier Turner, and he's starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, it looked like South was somewhat content letting Pike shoot those three-pointers from the outside, trying to pack in the middle. But if they start knocking a few three-pointers down, that's going to cause Pike to or Bloomington South, excuse me, to extend their defense, and that's where Pike's going to be able to get to the basket a lot easier in the open lanes.
Jaeger running again, and he can't get that one to go, but a foul going to be called, and they're going to say offensive as Hendricks. No, check that. They're going to say that that was on Winters.
And that play was just about a mirror image of the one last time down the floor for Johnny Jaeger. Just couldn't get that one to fall.
So South down by 3 and trying to keep themselves within spitting distance of this Pike squad, who's obviously got a lot of athleticism. There's a travel that's going to be called. So nice job there by South to confuse the offense at the top of the key.
Good job by South, and good job by the official to notice he didn't put the ball on the floor in time. That's a call that a lot of guys get away with a lot of the times.
Washington crosses the timeline, guarded closely by Turner. And a reach in there as they're going to get Turner for the foul.
There's no need by Turner to stick his arm in there like that. He's moving his feet very well. Once you put your hands or your arm in a guy's hip, it's an automatic foul.
2 fouls for each of these squads. Hendricks takes the inbound. Trying to establish down low, and that shot no good as it's missed by Winters. And now Hunter brings it down the floor. All the way in, lays it up, no, and a rebound is lost, and here comes Washington the other direction.
It's one Hunter's gonna have to kick out there.
3 off the mark there by Jaeger, and almost got the steal, but picked up. Now here's Turner, he'll pass it off and blocked away. They'll say a foul is committed there. So South struggling a little bit now on the offensive end, and Pike trying to make them pay. Foul called on Winters is his second, and that's probably going to send him to the bench.
Those open shots for Johnny Jaeger, as we saw on the other end of the floor, those are ones he's going to have to get to fall for Bloomington South tonight.
Anthony Patterson coming into the contest. (13-9) the score. First free throw was made by Warren Gordon. And he misses the second. And there's a lost ball there as Cross just couldn't hang on to it. Now here's Gordon once again, goes up, misses the layup, but the rebound pulled out of there by Turner. Now Turner guarded closely here by Washington. He'll pull it out.
Turner very quick, looked him to go to the basket right here.
And Hunter has that stripped, and here comes Winters. Winters, a nice little move down the lane, but he can't get the layup to fall. Unfortunate.
In South, they're doing a very good job containing R.J. Hunter. He's yet to score, but everybody else right now is kind of killing him.
Shot no good there, and a little bit of willy-nilly action as it's both teams have had a little bit of problem keeping their offense going.
It's been somewhat of a sluggish game on the offensive end for either side.
Washington into the lane. Now Jaeger passed on the 3. 1:07 remaining in this first quarter of play. Cross been getting quite a few minutes here. Now Winters down low, lays it up and in.
Perfect execution there by Bloomington South. Realized he had 2 guys on him, and he dumped it down for the easy bucket, as you can see on the replay here.
So now Pike keeping their players out of the paint to a certain degree. Nice shot there as Warren Gordon, with a man in his face, gets it to go. Jaeger was open for a minute, but decides not to take the shot. Surprised to see South going ahead and shooting here, but they get it to go. McCoy knocks down the 3, 15-14.
It's one of those plays there where the coach probably didn't want him to shoot that shot, but it went in. So lucky for South right now is they find themselves only with a one-point deficit against Pike here, and they really haven't played all that well.
Under 10 seconds. Turner sizing up the defense. Guarded by Washington, now tries to move, spin move at the top of the key, can't get the shot to go, and Jaeger on the rebound as the horn sounds. Well, after one period of play, you gotta like what you've seen out of this Panthers squad as they are only trailing Pike by one, 15-14.
WTIU wants to know what you think of this or any other program. To make a comment, leave a message on our viewer response line at 855-0501 or send an email to wtiu@indiana.edu and tell us what you think.
So the things that you like so far out of this Panther squad, Tony?
So far, Bloomington South, they're containing R.J. Hunter, which I'm sure has been the focal point of their entire defense the entire week of practice. I mean, he's a great player, and right now he's yet to score. Something that Coach Holmes is probably not too happy with is Xavier Turner. I mean, he's Pike's second leading scorer, also a very quick guard. He's kind of doing whatever he wants right now on the floor. Washington having a little bit of trouble containing him, but at the end of the day right now, Pike finds himself with a 1-point lead. Bloomington South only down one, not the end of the world.
So far in this contest, it's been kind of a mixed bag offensively for this Bloomington South team. They haven't gotten anything out of Keaton Hendricks so far. He's 0 for 1. And they've struggled a little bit with Jonathan Winters, maybe surprisingly taking a majority of shots, 2 for 5 on the night. He's got 4 points. They've gotten 5 points so far out of Johnny Jaeger, which is nice. Shooting 4 for 9 so far are the Panthers. Pike shooting 5 for 10, and so far their bread and butter really has been Jonte Alexander, as he's got 5 of their 15 points. Also 5 points out of Xavier Turner.
Yeah, Jonte Alexander, he's using his size very well tonight for Pike. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a few more buckets before this contest is over. Great crossover there by Hendricks.
And a nice job by Hendricks, but he gets the shot blocked. And here's the other way quickly.
The length of R.J. Hunter really bothering Keaton Hendricks right now, it seems.
Dustin Utley into the contest, and he pulls down the rebound. And the ball knocked out of bounds, and they're going to say, actually, no, that was off of the Panthers, so it'll be Pike basketball.
For Bloomington South, you got to like what you see at your defense right now. Pike is a team that's going to push the tempo, so they're going to score some points. The key is to contain how quick they're scoring those points and don't let them get on a run. And that's what Bloomington South's done a good job of thus far. Alexander
and Turner out there, along with Anthony Patterson, who came in towards the end of that first quarter. And Tayshawn Johnson misses that 3. And quickly the other way, here come the Panthers. Jaeger for 3 once again. That one hard off the rim, no good. Here's Hunter, 3 the other direction. That's no good, and quite a few bricks being thrown up by both squads so far.
Yeah, and the stars we talked about at the top of the broadcast, and Hunter and Hendricks really not doing much for either offense.
Rutherford, no, but a foul going to be called, and I believe they got Keaton Hendricks on that one.
And that's just where the youth and lack of size and physicality right now for Hendricks really bothers him. I mean, he tried his hardest to try and box out there, but just too much strength by Pike, and he ended up having to commit a foul to contain them out and get him out of the lane.
So 3-pointer off the inbounds play, no, by Turner, and out of bounds it'll remain Pike basketball. Well, both of these teams struggling, and J.R. Holmes not at all hesitant to go to the bench as he brings in Martindale. Inbounds play up, no good is the shot, but a foul going to be called here. And we'll see who they nailed for South. Looks like they got Winters, and that's going to be, I believe, 3 fouls on Winters.
It's huge for Bloomington South. It's one of the best defenders, somebody who can come in and give him a spark. 3 fouls for him is not good for this Panther squad.
The first free throw no good there by Anthony Patterson, 6'4" junior. Winters going to sit down, and they're actually going to say that's only his 2nd foul. So both free throws missed there, and that's pretty key for this Bloomington South squad, not surrendering points in special teams, so to speak, for Pike. But South needs to do something offensively here. Washington, jump stop, nowhere to go, and he kicks it back out once again. Kind of an elaborate jump stop there by Washington. Almost a travel there by Utley. And nice job by Washington as he squeezes his way in, and he picks up the layup.
And that possession was perfect for Bloomington South. Great ball movement. You get an easy bucket, easy points for your team.
On a carry going to be called here on Pike. And that is not going to make Bill Zick happy with what he saw as a couple of missed travels on the other side, but the Panthers will take it. So now a 1-point lead and the basketball here. 5:59 left in the first half.
Pike's offense not impressive at all. Yet to score in the second quarter as well.
Utley off to Washington. And a foul called. They're going to get McCoy on that. Well, the fouls keep racking up here for the Bloomington South Panthers, and with the already depleted bench kind of getting to be a bigger problem right now.
Yeah, and they may have to go deep into their bench if they continue to foul at the rate they're going right now.
Pike dumps it down low, and that shot up and good, and a nice job there by Rutherford to pick up that basket. 17-16 now, Pike with the lead. And now McCoy pull up three, way short, couldn't get the rebound, and now the outlet pass the other way. Laid up and good. Nice job there by Tayshawn Johnson, and a timeout going to be called by J.R. Holmes, a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it here. Tony, kind of a difficult sort of exchange here for Bloomington South as they are starting to be bothered a little bit by Pike's athleticism.
Pike's athleticism, they'll get you, and they'll get you quick. And that's what we just saw. I mean, they got 4 points in a matter of 10, 15 seconds. In Bloomington South, they have to take care of the basketball. They have to get the long rebounds. They got to get all the loose balls because Pike's athleticism and quickness, they could end up running them out of the gym if they continue at that rate. And it's a great timeout by J.R. Holmes. Nip it in the butt right there. Stop any momentum that Pike has and try to regather his guys in their focus.
Yeah, you don't get any style points for holding on to timeouts until the end of the game. You got to use them not just to rest your own guys, but sometimes you got to kill off the momentum of the opposition. So it's McCoy, Washington, Jagger, Utley, and Martindale out there right now for Bloomington South. South, that's Utley on the baseline. Jay can't get it to go. And Pike coming the other direction. Kicked off in the corner. Turner decided not to take that three. Now shot taken by Rutherford, and he gets the three to fall. Jamie Rutherford with quite a bit of size, but he can pop it from distance.
Yeah, and this is where Pike can kill you. They can score points in bunches, and before you know it, you can be down in double digits.
Washington, nice feed down low, and Martindale gets fouled going up, so he'll have two.
Bloomington South doing a good job getting it inside. Now they just have to finish, and we can see if Martindale here can put two easy ones in.
Josh Martindale, only a freshman, but 6 feet 6 inches tall, and with Isaiah Gooch out of the lineup, a guy that really Bloomington South could use some stable and consistent production from.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who started on the JV squad this year. He's worked his way up due to some injuries and whatnot, and this is his time to shine. I mean, he's got a perfect opportunity in front of him as a freshman. Let's see if he seizes it.
Well, knocks both of those free throws down and cuts the Pike lead to 4, 22-18. Turner. And it looks like South in close to a zone here, almost a 3-2. And that drive, nice job there on the defense by Martindale. And South gonna bring it down the other direction.
There's no reason for Pike right now not to play inside out. I mean, they've got great shooters, and that's fine, but the ball should touch the post every single time because Bloomington South just does not have the size and physicality to guard them inside there.
Washington's three, no good. And a lot of dribbling there by Washington. And the ball lost out of bounds, so it'll remain Panther basketball.
And that's one that's going to frustrate Coach Holmes. A lot of dribbling and then just an ill-advised shot there really by Washington. Bloomington South is best when they work the ball around, get it inside, and try to draw a foul on Pike or put up an easy one.
Jagger, guarded by Gordon, who's back in the game. Now the ball dumped down low. Martindale. No. And that's 4 points for Martindale, and back to a 2-point game.
And that's huge for a freshman, to get some easy buckets, get his confidence going. There's a lot to be said for that.
Long-range shot, no good, but up and in on the rebound is Jonte Alexander. Now here's Jaeger the other way, and his three not falling. Pike pushes it, and the ball nicely knocked away by Jaeger, but Pike retains possession. So Pike up by 4, looking to extend, pick up top, and a travel going to be called, as they say Gordon picked up the foot a little bit early.
For Bloomington South, right, this possession, they've had success getting it inside. They need to get the ball inside on this possession. They're down by 4 points right now. They don't want this lead to extend for Pike. They need an easy bucket, and this is possession to do it.
So Jaeger now handling the basketball, an interesting switch, and perhaps J.R. Holmes wanting a little more stability. Doesn't get it there, though, and a nice job by Hunter to knock that ball off of McCoy and out of bounds.
Jaeger, an undersized guard already, and then you put the athleticism of somebody from Pike on him. It's going to be tough for him to handle the ball consistently tonight without a couple turnovers.
Do you think that's a response to Washington, the amount of dribbling that he was doing, or why would you make that switch right there?
Yeah, I think that's probably what he's doing, probably sending a message to Washington. I wouldn't be surprised to see Washington handle the ball as we will coming up the floor here. But just maybe a different look, some type of set that they wanted to run there, just weren't able to make it happen.
Another turnover for Pike on that last possession, so now Washington handling the ball, had a little bit of daylight, really being guarded closely here by Johnson. A lot more dribbling out of South in these sets than we're used to seeing. And there's another steal. R.J. Hunter picking the ball off, and he takes it all the way in, lays it up for 2.
And R.J. Hunter just showing you right there why he's a Division I athlete. Great athleticism, great job getting to the basket with a couple guys on him, and his length that was able to get that steal for Pike on the other end.
Washington had that go out of his hands, now picks it back up. Nice feed into McCoy. And McCoy able to pick up a couple of points there for South, gets it back to 4. And now that ball thrown out of bounds, and another turnover here by Pike.
Coach Zick can't be happy with that one. A lot of unforced turnovers by Pike, too, and that's really what frustrates a coach most.
First time into the game here, it's Kendall Rollins for Pike, as he will replace R.J. Hunter, who needed a little bit of a rest.
It'll be interesting to see how Bloomington South does with R.J. Hunter on the bench for Pike. Won't have to have their whole focus go towards him, and that'll be interesting to see.
Well, with 1:45 left here in this first half, nice feed to Jaeger, and he is fouled going up. He gets whacked by Rutherford. Nice job there, though, by Jaeger to flash to the basket.
And that's what you get with an athletic team, that they like to overplay a lot. Back doors are there more times than not. Bloomington South has really been able to find that guy doing the back door, and it's resulted in a couple shots for Jaeger, and now he's at the free throw line.
Jaeger's first free throw good. Can get this team back to within 2 if he knocks this down. Both teams shooting remarkably well tonight from the field. And Jaeger knocks down both free throws. South shooting 7 for 13, Pike 9 for 15 so far in this contest.
Part of that is because they're getting a lot of good shots, but when they're not getting good shots, they're turning the ball over.
That does keep the points per possession more around 1 than maybe you would like as a coach. There's a drive and an offensive foul. Excellent positioning by Utley there as he draws the charge off of Gordon.
Can't ask for better than that. I mean, that was a picture-perfect way to take a charge there for Utley and giving Bloomington South a chance to now tie the ball game.
15 foul on Pike. South's already committed 7, so in the remainder of this half, you'll see the Red Devils shooting the 1-and-1. Washington, now Utley. Martindale found himself with some space, and he's fouled, and another foul going to be called on Rutherford, I believe.
Coach J.R. Holmes has to be very happy with the play of the freshman Martindale. Somebody that probably he just wanted to insert in the lineup to maybe get a few rebounds, almost just take up some space while he's got some guys on the bench, and then now he's giving you some production. He's got 4 points going for 5 and 6 right here.
Knocks that free throw down. South so far 5 for 5 from the free throw line. Pike only 2 of 6, and that's a big difference so far in this contest, as it's a tie game. 26 all, 1:08 remaining here in this first half of play. Turner. Hunter's come back into the contest.
Looks like Bloomington South is in a box and 1.
And the rebound bounces off the hand of Utley, and that's just unfortunate. A nice job there by Jonte Alexander to pick up the missed shot.
And for Pike, that's at least 8 points off second chance opportunities, and that's something that I'm sure Coach J.R. Holmes will go into halftime at the top of his keys in the second half.
South with 30 seconds left in this half. We'll see if they decide to hold on. McCoy.
I think he got away with a double dribble.
I think he did get away with a double dribble there. But South not going to complain. 20 seconds left, and they'll almost certainly run the rest of this down. Some close guarding there by Turner, and Washington spritzes through, and a foul going to be called, and that'll send Washington to the line. Yeah. Kind of an ill-advised foul there by Pike.
Not a good foul at all. Washington really didn't have anywhere to go with that. Just a silly reach-in foul there with 14 seconds left in the half. And now Bloomington South has a chance to tie the game.
2 fouls on Turner. So now Washington. First free throw up and good.
A lot to be said for the way Bloomington South is shooting free throws tonight. 100% on the night thus far.
7 for 7 going into this, and of course they
right
missed.
On cue.
Nice job, Tony. 11 seconds left. All the way down the floor is Turner, and he's undercut as he goes up for that layup. Did not go, but they will call the foul.
And that's something Bloomington South can't afford off of a free throw. I mean, there's no reason you should be getting beat deep and Pike getting down the floor quicker than you.
So Jaeger picks up his first foul, 8th team foul on Bloomington South. 9.6 seconds remaining, and we'll see Xavier Turner at the free throw line. And he knocks that first one home. Well, Pike 3 for 7 now. And for defensive purposes, they bring Anthony Patterson into the contest as he replaces Rutherford. Second free throw drops as well, so 3-point lead with 8 seconds left here in this first half. Washington looking for Jaeger, but he's tied up. And now here's a little drop off the glass, up and in, and that'll end the first half. Well, a nice finish there for Trey Washington. Struggled a little bit, but had the opening, didn't try to force it to Jaeger, and just a really sweet little one-hander.
A lot to be said for how big that bucket is for Bloomington South. Going into the half, haven't really played that well, but they go into the half with the lead.
We'll take a break and come back with the start of the second half. Along with Tony Adrania, I'm Galen Clavio. It's 30-29. Pike leading Bloomington South. You're watching Indiana High School basketball on WTIU.
Production support for this episode of WTIU's High School Basketball has been provided by The Hoosier Scoop, the app that helps you join the IU sports conversation. Use your mobile device to receive game updates, tweets, and analysis from IU sports reporters. To find it, go to your app store and search Hoosier Scoop.
Welcome to halftime of our contest here tonight. Bloomington South hosting the Pike Red Devils in the Conference Indiana Showdown. Galen Clavio here, along with Tony Adrania. And Tony, Bloomington South's really got to like what they've seen so far out of their team. They're obviously missing some key personnel, but they've managed to compensate on both ends of the floor, and they find themselves trailing by only 1 to a team that really outdoes them in athleticism so far tonight.
Yeah, and Pike is a team, they average 70 points per game. Right now they're on pace to score 30. That's a tribute to the way Bloomington South has been able to defend them. Also, they're getting contributions from guys they're not really used to scoring, and Martindale, Jaeger's been able to do pretty well, so they haven't really gotten a lot from Keaton Hendricks. So once Hendricks gets going, I think Bloomington South has a good shot at this game.
You mentioned Martindale. Martindale probably the biggest and best surprise for Bloomington South off the bench. 6 points so far on the evening. We've also seen Trey Washington with 7, Johnny Jaeger with 7 for this Panther squad. As far as Pike's concerned, as we tabulate the stats on our lovely iPad here, Jonte Alexander leading all their scorers with 9, Jamie Rutherford with 7 for this Pike squad. So should be an interesting second half. We're looking forward to seeing it. We'll be back with the start of the second half along with Tony Adrania. I'm Galen Clavio. This is WTIU's coverage of Indiana High School basketball.
WTIU wants to know what you think of this or any other program. To make a comment, leave a message on our viewer response line at 855-0501 or send an email to wtiu@indiana.edu and tell us what you think.
Welcome back to the start of the second half here on J.R. Holmes Court at Bloomington South. Galen Clavio here along with Tony Adranya as we get set for the start of the second half of this contest. Pike only leading by a point as Bloomington South comes out of their huddle. The Red Devils about to do the same. Your keys to the second half, Tony?
Well, for Bloomington South, they've got to be able to stop Pike's pace and their quick pace for this game. If they let Pike get out and run in the open court, that's where they could get in trouble. For Pike, their key has got to be to push the tempo, push the ball, and really get R.J. Hunter going. I mean, this team goes as R.J. Hunter goes, and right now he's only got 2 points.
Yeah, R.J. Hunter's lack of offensive production, really a bit of a surprise. But, he's obviously a guy with a tremendous amount of talent as you see him get the ball to start this half. We'll see if South can continue to keep him under wraps. Starting lineups for both teams back out on the floor. He misses that opening shot, does Hunter, but the shot made there by Rutherford to start this second half for Pike. So another 3-point lead for Pike.
And another second chance point for him as well.
Foul going to be called, and I think they got Rutherford on that one.
We mentioned the lack of production from R.J. Hunter on the offensive end. Same goes for Keaton Hendricks for Bloomington South. He's been their most consistent guy in terms of offensive production. Really hasn't gotten going himself this evening as he's 0 for 3 on the night.
Hendricks triggers it in. McCoy off to Hendricks, trying to get off the schneid, and he'll drive all the way in. It was knocked off of him by Hunter, but they're going to say out of bounds on Hunter.
The length of Hunter is just really giving Keaton Hendricks some problems here. Even if he's able to get around him on the dribble, Hunter just has such long arms and just such a long frame that he's able to still play pretty good defense on Hendricks there.
Washington pops it into Jagger. Three-pointer up and good. Johnny Jagger ties this game up at 32, and Jagger continues to be a guy that you really have to watch out for from long range.
Yeah, if you're Pike, you can't leave him open because he'll make you pay.
It's like back in that box and one, although now they break out of it more. Almost a triangle and two here being thrown up. You don't see that often in Indiana high school basketball. Turner now to Rutherford. Cross court. And that three-pointer no good, and a nice job by Winters to come out of there with it, and he will lay it up off glass and in. Jonathan Winters. Now quickly the other way, here's Pike, and a foul, and the shot goes in. A nice job there, keeping his balance by Jonte Alexander.
And that's exactly what Bloomington South cannot do. You get a great bucket, a great push by Winters on the other end, and then you get burnt back deep, and now you're giving up an and one, and Pike has the opportunity to retake the lead here.
34 all, 6:36 left in this third quarter of play. And that's Alexander making that free throw. And Pike, after some struggles early from the charity stripe, has made their last four. Hendricks, they're going to nail him for the travel.
Hendricks really struggling this evening. He just needs to get one going, and then he'll be able to get himself going, but right now R.J. Hunter's defense on him is really bothering him.
It's tough when the shots don't fall at the beginning and you start having fouls or turnover problems. It happened to Cody Zeller in that Washington game, or excuse me, in the Wisconsin game. Just really can't get it going from the get-go.
And that's kind of what we're seeing from R.J. Hunter as well. R.J. Hunter, though, more so forcing him. He needs to get an easy bucket off of some type of dribble penetration.
Ill-advised pass there by Gordon, and here comes South, leaving McCoy open outside, and he missed everything there. And a nice job by Jagger to knock it away, but now picked up and laid up by Turner. So Turner has been kind of the offensive spark plug for this Pike squad so far tonight, from the outside at least. 3-point lead once again for the Red Devils.
Bloomington South looking in their set right here. Look for Jagger or Keaton Hendricks to try pop open here in this set here for an open look at a three-pointer.
South being pretty deliberate offensively.
Dangerous pass there by Washington.
A little hot. Jaeger almost had it stripped, but he'll pick it back up. Now Washington kicks it out. Hendricks going to try a three, and that's off the mark, no. And a foul going to be called, and I think they got Winters. And if so, that's going to be Winters' fourth foul. Actually, no, I think that is third. They did take that foul off earlier. My mistake, folks. Still, 3 fouls on Winters, 5:06 remaining in this third quarter of play.
For Pike here, you got to expect them to try to get some type of dribble penetration here. Bloomington South really not able to guard their quickness, whether they're getting it inside or getting to the basket and dribble penetration. That's really what they need to look to do here.
Haven't really been much of a threat from outside so far, though, is Pike. And now the blown dunk there by Rutherford as he had a wide open look, nobody around him, and he looks kind of sheepish coming out of there. That's got to be, I wouldn't know how that feels, but that's got to be really tough.
Yeah, you think you've got an easy one and then you miss the dunk. I mean, if you can cram it home, that's great, but if you miss it, that's about one of the worst things you can do in the game of basketball, and you're going to hear it especially from an opposing crowd.
Wasted a nice feed from Johnson there on that dish down low. And there's a block. Nice job by Hunter, and quickly the other way. Here's Turner. Turner going to lay it up off glass. Good, and a timeout going to be called.
Yeah, and that's where Pike is always going to get you. You take an ill-advised shot, and they're able to get out in transition. It's tough to guard them there. I mean, they're a quick team. They're a disciplined team, and they're very good in transition, and that's what we just saw there. And once again, J.R. Holmes nipping it in the butt. Once Pike gets any momentum, he calls a timeout and uses timeouts very well thus far.
So J.R. Holmes giving his players some guidance here and inspiration as they've kept within striking distance of Pike for this entire game. 5-point deficit, about the biggest that they've faced so far in this contest. As we continue on here in this second half, Jaeger with 10 points, currently leading all Bloomington South scorers. And it's Jonte Alexander with 12, Xavier Turner with 11 for Pike.
Bloomington South really needs a bucket here. They can't let this one get out of control, and that's not what you need. Dangerous pass there by Washington. Luckily, they're able to retain it from the out of bounds on Pike there.
Patterson reached in and thought he had a crack at that one, but he's unable to pull it in. Hendricks still scoreless, and he has his pocket picked by Hunter, and a nice outlet to Turner. Turner going to lay it up and in, and Turner, I tell you, he's gone in against some very difficult situations, and he's laid it up each time, and it's gone in most of those.
Finishing at the basket very well, as you can see here. Draws the contact with the body and gets it.
Winters on the other end, able to knock down a layup. You missed that in the replay, but he brings South back to within 5. Now here's a little step-in shot, good. And that one knocked home there by Tyshawn Johnson. 43-36, a 7-point margin now. Hendricks left alone and still can't get the shot to fall, but a nice job by Winters, puts it up, no, but a foul.
Keaton Hendricks, you can just tell he's frustrated just in his body language out there on the court. This is where a senior leader like Washington maybe grabs him, pulls him aside, lets him know, hey, we're all right, we're behind you, you'll get the next one.
You gotta like Jonathan Winters' aggressiveness, as despite the foul situation, he's really been kind of, churning the butter down there in the low post. He's gotten good rebounds. He's managed to put up some decent shots. Doesn't get that free throw to go, though.
He's doing well on the offensive end, and he's doing an even better job on the defensive end guarding R.J. Hunter. R.J. Hunter with just 1 bucket thus far, and a lot of that can be attributed to Winters' defense.
Cross comes in and replaces Hendricks, and both free throws missed there by Winters. South can ill afford to leave points on the table at this point.
Now, those are two that you really got to get to fall.
Shot up and no good there by Patterson, and here comes South quickly the other direction. Washington trying to break his man down off the dribble, gets it to go. Trey Washington keeping the spark alive here for the Panthers.
And that was great penetration, great use of the hesitation dribble, really draw his man off and then go and push really fast, and he's able to get that bucket pretty easily.
And Hunter can't get that three to go, and a foul going to be called on the floor on that rebound. Well, as we've talked about throughout the course of this contest, the two guys who you would have expected to have been offensive stalwarts for these teams have just really struggled with their shot, and it's not like they're getting bad looks.
No, I think Keaton Hendricks is getting a little better looks than R.J. Hunter. I think R.J. is forcing a little bit, but Xavier Turner here in this third quarter has been lights out.
Talk about a guy who's not struggling with his shot. Xavier Turner knocks down another one, and so far on the game, he's got 16.
This is one Bloomington South has to get under control. They cannot let Pike get out here and get a double-digit lead.
Cross that shot, that pass a little too hot there, but a nice job by Winters to recover. Now he'll take it in, and a foul going to be called. As they say, a reach in there. I think they may have gotten Hunter on that.
Yeah, that was a foul on Hunter. Not a lot of contact there, but enough to call the foul there.
That's the third on Hunter. And the third foul on Pike, and Hunter going to sit down. McCoy going to sit down as well as Utley going to come into this contest. You can see Hunter there heading to the bench.
Yeah, coming into this game, you probably wouldn't think that you'd see R.J. Hunter and Keaton Hendricks not on the floor at the same time all too often, but neither really a factor.
Washington. Winters left open, three no good, and the rebound rattles around, and a nice job by Cross to keep it alive, and then a foul going to be called as Utley had come away with it, and they're going to say Tayshawn Johnson reached in and stole it.
Be interesting to see what kind of set South comes out in here. Really need a bucket if they can get something down low, an easy one to fall. That'll be perfect for this offense and their confidence moving forward.
Trailing by 8, very much a danger period for this Panther squad. Winters probably tried to do a little too much there, but managed to keep a hold of the basketball. Now in jail down low is Washington, but it's knocked out of bounds by Rutherford.
Yeah, South just making some silly mistakes. For one, you cannot pick your dribble up in the corner there, especially against a Pike team that's got a lot more size and athleticism than you. Just making some silly mistakes here. I'm sure J.R. Holmes will let them know that here before too long. He's trying to do too much.
Winters really is trying to generate something for this squad, and now a technical foul going to be called here on Rutherford as something happened in that scrum that he didn't like, and he went a little bit crazy. J.R. Holmes jumping into the fray to try to keep things separated. I wonder if they just called the technical on Rutherford or whether they also nailed Winters.
It looked like it should have been on Winters. If I saw everything correctly, it looked like Winters gave a boot right to Rutherford's gut.
So they're just going to say the technical foul's on Jamie Rutherford.
My eyes have deceived me.
I didn't really see what Rutherford got so irritated about. You said that there was some kind of a shoe to the stomach.
That's what it looked like from here, but I could be wrong. That's just what I saw from our vantage point.
Well, South getting bailed out a little bit there, and Jager going to go to the free throw line with a chance to put some points on the board, and he'll knock that first one down. So he can bring his team back within 6 if he knocks this down. Now that's the third foul on Rutherford. And as a player who's been pretty effective offensively, that could be a big foul going down the stretch.
Yeah, and just silly there. I mean, there's no need. You're about to get the ball. You're up by 8 points in the third quarter on the road, and then now you give them 2 easy buckets and the basketball back. Just a silly bonehead mistake there by Rutherford.
Josh Long making his first appearance in the contest as Rutherford's going to take a seat to calm down. At least we assume he's going to calm down.
Winters out there playing out of control as well. He's throwing cheap elbows and stuff. There's no need for that.
And a nice move there by number 31, Jimmy Cross. The sophomore gets the bucket to go, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Bloomington South with some momentum now as they're creeping their way back into this game off of that technical foul there. Able to get almost possibly 5 points here off of that technical foul.
And Cross misses the free throw. That kind of an odd free throw angle there. He was standing almost a full foot behind the line. Utley with the steal. And Utley quickly down the floor being pursued from behind. And he goes hard into the bleachers there. Ended up impacting Pike's number 32, Anthony Patterson. But a nice job by Utley to pick that up. And you can see him coming down the floor. And it was a nice job really by Patterson to keep him from getting an easy layup.
Yeah, you got to make him earn it there. Nothing dirty. I mean, he went for the ball. Everything clean there, and now we'll see if Utley can bring Bloomington South within 2 points here in the third quarter. Utley
gets that free throw to go. Winner's going to sit down as McCoy comes back in. Long comes out and Hunter back into the basketball game.
See if Hunter's been able to gather himself on the bench there. Had a little breather and see if he get some type of offensive production here going for Pike.
Well, Utley with some clutch free throws there, and he gets this team back to within 2. Three-pointer threatened there by Johnson twice, and he doesn't take it either time. Nice dish off there, and a nice, easy layup by Patterson. And Cross's shoe came off on that rebound.
And if you're Pike, that was a perfect offensive possession to stop the momentum here in Bloomington South. The crowd was kind of getting antsy. Everybody was getting into it. Bloomington South had a quick little 6-point run. And then Patterson did a great job there. Johnson did a great job there penetrating and then dishing for an easy bucket for Pike.
Rollins comes in and Hunter sits down once again. Sporadic appearances here by Hunter so far in this second half.
Little offense, defense there, try to keep him out of foul trouble going into the fourth quarter.
South really trying to penetrate on the baseline. That seems to have been the point of attack that they've pursued the most throughout the course of this basketball game.
It's the point of attack they've pursued the most, but not the best attacking mode, probably.
And a foul up and good. That shot by Anthony Patterson, and that was a disastrous possession there for South.
And that's one really Bloomington South can't afford there. And if you're going to foul him, I mean, by no means do anything dirty, but I mean, you've got to give him a pretty tough, hard foul. You can't let him get that bucket up there.
So just like that, back to a 6-point lead for Pike, and Patterson can make it 7. Hard off the back of the rim, no, and the rebound knocked away, and a nice job there by South to pick that up. Now Washington pulls up, and his shot rattles out no. McCoy quickly back up, probably a little bit too quickly, and a jump ball going to be called. A nice job by Utley to fight for that one against Rollins. Well, the shot's not falling quite as easily in this second half for Bloomington South, as they're still shooting above 50%, but they've struggled at times.
Their defense has failed them somewhat as well, giving up 20 points in this quarter to Pike. They've done a very good job in the first half of containing them.
Jagger came out of there with that basketball, as that was a very dangerous situation for South. Jagger now for 3, no good. Cross, nice position on the board, can't get it to fall. And that shot, no. Tip up, no. And South going a little too fast here. No need to put those shots up so quickly, and a foul going to be called now on the Panthers.
If you're Coach Zick for Pike, you're going to be getting in your players a little bit here. Only 2 guys down there rebounding while the rest are out at half court watching. Bloomington South with 4 or 5 chances at a bucket, and that's where J.R. Holmes gets frustrated because his team had multiple opportunities close to the bucket and couldn't capitalize.
So 50-44, and Pike can push this up above 6 on this final possession. Turner left a little bit alone, now drives in, nice kick across to Alexander, knocked out of bounds, and it'll be Pike basketball here with 1.1 second.
Good job by Cross there containing Alexander as he went towards the basket.
So if Pike's got any inbound plays that don't take much time, this would be the time to uncork them. Trying to get it into Alexander, no. Now flashing open is Turner, but that 3-pointer bounces off the rim, no. And that'll end the third quarter of play. Well, South struggled at the beginning, struggled at the end. The middle wasn't that terrible. They trail by 6 to Pike, 50-44.
WTIU wants to know what you think of this or any other program. To make a comment, leave a message on our viewer response line at 855-0501 or send an email to wtiu@indiana.edu and tell us what you think.
So South, not in as bad a shape as you might have thought, given some of the things that happened in that quarter, but still, they have to do a little bit better job of hanging onto the basketball. They're actually getting it in pretty good position and shooting way too quickly.
Yeah, the thing, like you said, I mean, if you look at that quarter as a whole, you think Pike has a double-digit lead at the very least, but Bloomington South able to hang around in there with a couple buckets by Jagger. An ill-advised technical by Pike also helped them hang in there. But like you said, they're taking too many quick shots. I mean, this is an offense that thrives on getting guys open looks and knocking those open looks down. they haven't been able to get any open looks because they're shooting off of one or no passes at all.
As far as the scoring for South, it's Johnny Jager leading with 12 points on the night. Trey Washington with 9, Winters with 8. McCoy has chipped in 5 so far. Martindale had those 6 points in the first half. We haven't seen him since then, although he is coming out to start the second half. As far as Pike is concerned, it's Xavier Turner with 16 points now on the evening. Jonte Alexander with 12. Jamie Rutherford, who had that technical foul, with 9. Those are your leading scorers for the Red Devils. Back into this kind of quasi-triangle and 2, and now Turner going to drive the baseline, and his layup no good, but a nice job by Alexander to pick it up.
Yeah, and that's a force by R.J. Hunter. There's no need for that.
Oh, nice 3 there. Long shot taken and made by Tyshawn Johnson. And a 9-point lead now, the biggest of the night for Pike.
This is danger zone for Bloomington South here.
Johnson comes away with it. Open lane in and lays it up and good. 11-point lead now. And a timeout going to be called by J.R. Holmes. His team suddenly trailing by 11 as they give up 5 quick points in the first 38 seconds of this final quarter of play. Well, the one big problem that you see for South, they've come back from deficits before, but in this instance, they really haven't gotten a lot of consistent scoring out of anybody on their roster so far. I mean, Jager, while he's got 12 points, has been kind of chipping in points here and there rather than scoring throughout.
They've got no consistent scoring, and right now they have no offensive flow whatsoever. They're turning the ball over at a terrible rate right now for the Panthers, and I'm sure J.R. Holmes is telling them, you better take care of the basketball or you're going to find your butt on the bench for the Panthers right now. And at the end of the day, they need to find a way to get some type of dribble penetration, run a set, get some open looks, because when you have an 11-point deficit, you're going to have to start making some shots, and that's what it comes down to right now for Bloomington South.
South trying to keep themselves from losing their 3rd in a row. You can see that layup there by Tyshawn Johnson. Johnson, one of the shorter players on this team. This is a really tall Pike team, averaging about 6 feet 2 inches tall. Johnson only 5'11" and a junior, but showing a lot of quickness, a lot of hand quickness, especially out there, that's helped this Red Devil team out quite a bit.
A lot of quickness and a lot of athleticism. I mean, at 5'11", he definitely had his hand above the rim there. Probably could have crammed that one home if there was no defender around him.
Washington. And now Utley going to get fouled on the perimeter.
This is another place that Bloomington South can be able to capitalize. They're now in the 1-and-1 here in the 4th quarter, getting easy points with no time running off the clock. That's huge for them.
So Utley, who knocked down his previous 2 attempts from the free throw line, knocks that one down. Winters getting set to come in for Utley.
For South, too, now, it's going to come down to defense as well. They're going to have to be able to stop Bloomington South.
Oh, nice job by Utley as he picked up his own miss. And now Washington. Hendricks still trying to get uncorked, and that ball is kicked out of bounds by Anthony Patterson.
And just a telegraph pass there by Keaton Hendricks. You knew where that one was going the entire time he was dribbling the ball.
Josh Long comes back into the contest as Patterson going to sit down. Ten-point margin here, and South in no huge hurry yet, trying to look for the good shot rather than the quick shot.
Yeah, and that's fine. You've got some time on. Time isn't.
There's Hendricks picking up the foul. Couldn't get the shot to go, but we'll try to maybe get his scoring going from the free throw line.
Yeah, and this is a great place for that to start. I mean, you get an easy bucket, nobody guarding you. See what it feels like to see the ball go through the basket for you, and maybe be able to find a groove here, as Bloomington South is going to need him down the stretch.
But, of course, some struggles. It wouldn't be a game tonight for Keaton Hendricks without some struggles as he misses that free throw. So Hendricks, the sophomore, who's been an exemplary offensive player all game, finally gets his first point of the night. 55-46 now, a 9-point lead for Pike. They got Winters out there defensively on R.J. Hunter. And Winters has done a pretty good job on him when he's been guarding him so far in this contest.
Yeah, and it's good team defense all around by Bloomington South on Hunter. However, that happens when you leave your guy, and that's what they have to do when R.J. Hunter is penetrating.
Xavier Turner has been an offensive revelation so far for Pike, and there he steals the basketball. Bad pass from Winters. Behind the back dribble, layup, good. An excellent play there, and that was sparked by Turner. Layup good by Johnson. And now Washington trying to get something back, and that shot too quick.
Yeah, not a good shot there by Washington. And as you look at Pike now, this is what they do to teams. They run you down up and down the floor, and they can score points in bunches.
Timeout now as the lead has ballooned to 16. And this will be a full timeout for Bloomington South. So South now trailing 16, and the margin keeps going the wrong direction for this Panthers squad. Resetting some of the scoring. Turner, after that last shot, 19 points now on the evening. Jonte Alexander with 14 points. Tyshawn Johnson, who did not start this contest, didn't see a whole lot of action in that first quarter, now with 11. Those are your double-figure scorers, and you can see here just a great feed across to Alexander on that last set preceding this timeout. For Bloomington South, Jager still with 12 points so far on the evening, leading all the Panthers scorers. Washington with 9. Winters with 8. And they finally get a point out of Keaton Hendricks, but it has really been a struggle for the sophomore so far in this contest.
It's been a struggle for Keaton Hendricks, and this second half has really been a struggle for Bloomington South as a whole. And Pike is showing you why they're the top scoring team in the entire conference. They're able to get up and run up and down. They're very unselfish with the ball, too, in transition, and it leads to easy buckets.
Well, South has played a lot better in this game than they did against Franklin Central. I mean, that is a key distinction. But really struggling against this quickness that Pike brings on every single possession.
Yeah, in Bloomington South, I mean, they're just, right now, they're outmatched. This isn't a Bloomington South normal up to their standards.
Keaton Hendricks finally gets a field goal to fall, and that's 3 now for the sophomore.
And as I was saying, it's somewhat of a down year for Bloomington South in terms of the way they play basketball. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're still a very good team. And Coach Holmes' problem with Franklin Central wasn't the result of the game. It was how hard his team, or how the lack of toughness they played with in that game. And I think we've seen that from them tonight. They've played tough. They've played hard. Right now, they're just somewhat outmatched against this Pike squad.
Well, you know, they always say there's two kinds of losing. There's the losing where you lose, and then there's the losing where you get beat. You can deal with getting beat. When you lose, it's a little bit different, though. And that's 2 fouls in a row as South not really over-pursuing that much. A couple of maybe overzealous approaches to the basket there, but that's about it.
And that's how you have to play if you're down 14. I mean, you've got to be overzealous, and you're going to pick up some fouls, but they're going to have to really rely on Pike missing some free throws down the stretch here to get back in this game.
Well, Xavier Turner not willing to cooperate on that one. I mentioned diminutive Pike players. Turner, the shortest of them all, only standing at 5 feet 8 inches tall, but he's shown he can put the ball in the basket. He's got a nice touch pretty much everywhere on the floor.
And Xavier Turner with his 21st point there on that free throw, averaging just about 13 per game. So he is a key offensive contributor, but I'm sure Bloomington South didn't plan for him to score in the 20s tonight.
Jager left open for 3 and can't get it to fall. Quickly the other way, there's Alexander, and he stuffs it home. And the lead at 18 now, the largest of the game. Hendricks is blocked by Hunter.
That length bothering Hendricks once again.
Turner decides not to go for the 3. Hunter will, however, and that one off the mark, no.
Thankfully for Hunter, his teammates have kind of made up for his lack of offensive play today, but at the same time, Hunter has been playing good defense on the other end.
The turnover is Turner able to pick it up and takes it all the way in for the easy layup. 20-point lead now for Pike, 4:35 remaining. Utley getting set to come in.
For Bloomington South, I mean, all signs pointing to a loss right now. We gave you the statistic on the last time they lost 2 in a row. Not really sure of the last time they lost 3 games in a row.
Foul going to be called. That's Hunter on the block. That's the 4th foul on Hunter. Hendricks going to sit down, and Utley comes in. So Washington, chance to go into double figures here, and he knocks that one home. Trey Washington, one of the few seniors that's getting regular playing time under normal circumstances on this squad. Dustin Utley has filled in quite a bit here over the last week or so with the injuries that South is facing. Ball passed around the perimeter, and that three-pointer up and bounces out, no good from Johnson. Alexander diving for it. And still struggling for possession of the basketball. Finally, a jump ball going to be called.
And on that last shot there by Tayshawn Johnson, not very often you're going to see R.J. Hunter wide open on the right wing and pass it up, but it's just been that kind of night for him.
Kyle Dugan going to come into the contest, and he'll replace Jagger.
Talk about Bloomington South having a lack of size. The insertion of Kyle Dugan doesn't necessarily help in terms of size.
Misses that shot.
As Dugan is just a 5'6", and another senior we see. Doesn't see a whole lot of time, though.
Hunter determined to get a shot to go, and he finally gets one to fall. R.J. Hunter with 4 points now on the night. Check that, make that 5 points on the night. Martindale can't get that shot to go. And Hunter going to handle it himself. 21-point lead. Turner going to bomb away from long distance. He gets that one to go, too.
I think this is where Coach J.R. Holmes is going to get a little frustrated with Bloomington South because the effort's just not there right now.
Washington misses the layup. And now Turner left alone again, knocks it home. 77-50, and the floodgates have come wide open. Utley is blocked, but they're going to say that was a goaltend by R.J. Hunter.
Everything falling for Xavier Turner right now, excuse me. Really picked up for the lack of production from R.J. Hunter tonight, and then some.
29 points now in the evening for R.J. Hunter, easily leading all scorers.
For Xavier Turner there with 29 points, I mean, that's something you don't expect if you're Bloomington South.
Well, he's not going to be in the rest of the game, I think, as they just substituted both him and Hunter out of the contest. The offense unable to score on that possession, and now here comes Trey Washington. Washington tries the three, no. Rebound batted around, and now Martindale's shot, no good. And here comes Pike. Ball lost there, but picked up by Gordon. Gordon going to go and try to lay it up, no. And now a foul going to be whistled as Krishan Marsden down low had that basketball, and looks like he'll be going to the free throw line.
Galen, we mentioned this is uncharted territories for Bloomington South at the top of the broadcast with a couple losses in a row. Very rarely you'll see Bloomington South ever lose 3 games in a row, much less 2 games in a row by almost a 20-point margin. That's not something you'll see from a J.R. Holmes coach team very often.
Aaron McCoy comes into the contest. Winner's going to sit down.
Some good leadership down there by Michael Bauer of Bloomington South, going to Trey Washington, letting him know you played a good game, keep your head up. That's great leadership by a guy who's troubled by injuries right now, but I'm sure Bloomington South would love to have him back in the lineup very soon.
Utley going to try a 3. That's off the mark. 78-52. Under 2 minutes remaining here. And a nice move in, but the layup no good there. And Utley's done a really nice job fighting for rebounds as he's able to pick up that miss from Gordon. Dugan's shot, no. Utley again with a rebound, and that one blocked out of his hands, but a foul going to be called.
And for this Pike team, this is what they do. I mean, this is their game, especially what we saw in the second half here. I mean, they're able to get out and run. They score points in bunches, and they've been able to score 38 here on Bloomington South in the second half.
Utley's free throw good. Jimmy Cross coming into the contest. He replaces Martindale.
Excuse me, Pike's actually scored 48 points this half.
Yeah, let's not sell them short. And quite an offensive exhibition here in this second half for the Red Devils. Well, this puts really Pike in the driver's seat here over this last month of play for Conference Indiana supremacy.
Yeah, it really drops Bloomington South out of the ranks there. I don't see Pike losing 3 games. Franklin Central is another tough one there. And LC, they can't be counted out either. They're at 3-1 with Jeremy Hollowell, the future IU recruit. So a lot going on in Conference Indiana, a lot to be excited about as they come down the stretch.
Rashawn Marsden able to pick up his first bucket of the night. 80-54 now the score. Cross decides a 3 is a good idea, and the basket agrees with him. And a foul going to be called. I think they nailed Dugan as he tried to pick up a quick, cheap steal there on that inbound.
For this Pike squad, 80 points. That's the third most they've scored this entire season. They scored 85 in a win against Perry Meridian, and then on January 10th against Beech Grove, and at the start of the county tournament, they were able to score 92 on the Hornets.
Looks like Dugan might have gotten poked in the eye on that last play, so additional substitutions going to be coming in here for Bloomington South. 1-1 about to be shot here by Warren Gordon. Actually, it will be a 1-1 still.
For this
Gage Rogers coming into the contest.
For this Bloomington South team, this is one where you take the second half of the game and you almost just want to throw the film away. But there's a lot of learning points from what they saw against this Pike team. And this is a young Bloomington South team. That's what we have to remember. They're missing a couple key guys. I'm sure J.R. Holmes will get this team back on track in time for sectionals.
It's hard to believe this was a 6-point game at the end of the third quarter. I mean, I think there's some things from that quarter you might want to take a look at and be like, hey, we were actually playing pretty well right up to this point.
Exactly, and the turning point started when all the turnovers started happening and Pike was able to get out in transition.
Rogers no good there. Martindale layup up and good. That actually Noah Marks there, not Josh Martindale, my mistake. 82-57. Pike just working some time off the clock now. Well, except for Gordon. Gordon decided he was going to go ahead and lay it in.
Got to fill up the stat sheet somehow.
So South, 18 seconds remaining. Going to drop to 9-5 on the campaign. Their third straight loss. And picked up, here's Gordon. Going to drop it up to Marsden. Marsden fouled with 6.3 seconds remaining.
Not really a need for that attempt towards a basket for Pike, but a lot of these guys are guys who don't get to see a lot of game time, varsity action. They get to get their name in the paper tomorrow, so I totally understand what they're doing here.
Trying to avoid club trillion, get some kind of statistical outlay on the board. So Marsden knocks down that first free throw. And he gets the second one to fall as well. So that'll wrap it up here with 5 seconds left as South will come down for one last shot, and they get it to go. Rogers hits the 3, but that doesn't really do much as far as the final margin is concerned. A 6-point lead for Pike at the end of 3 balloons into a 22-point victory. And Tony, Pike's got a lot to feel good about coming out of this basketball game. This game actually very similar to what we saw happen to Bloomington South earlier on against Lawrence Central, but we'll come back to that in a second. What did you see out of this Pike team that you really liked this evening?
I like the way that their key scorer scored 5 points in this game. Xavier Turner picked up the slack there. As a team, they just played great all-around defense, offense. They got out in transition. They were very unselfish. I mean, this is a good Pike team. That's why they're at the top of the conference.
For Pike on the evening, it was Xavier Turner who was the offensive star. 29 points and was hitting from inside, was hitting from outside, was doing just about everything that his team needed. Jonte Alexander, 16 points on the evening. Tayshawn Johnson with 11 points on the evening. That was your double-figure scorers for the Red Devils. Johnny Jager with 12 points for Bloomington South. Trey Washington with 11. And before we wrap up, we were talking earlier about what we saw earlier this season in that Lawrence Central game. That was a game that South was leading until the start of the fourth quarter, and then the athleticism for Central really took over. They ended up winning that game by a pretty wide margin. Similar sort of thing here. South just really at an athleticism deficit against some of these teams from Indianapolis.
They're at an athleticism deficit, and they're at a size deficit right now, and they're at an experience deficit, really. I mean, this is a young Bloomington South team. They will get back on track, and like I said, this is a young team. They've got a lot of years to grow and mesh and play well together. And games like we saw from Keaton Hendricks tonight, struggled. We're going to see that from a sophomore who's still trying to bloom. But for Bloomington South, nothing to be worried about. Pike is a very good team. They're going to have an opportunity to make a state title run this season with one of the best players in the entire state, and R.J. Hunter, probably a future Indiana All-Star. So nothing to be worried about if you're South. You have a lot of good things to take away from this game. As you mentioned, this was a 6-point game not all too long ago. Fourth quarter, just too many turnovers, not very good offensive execution, and that's why you see a 22-point loss on the scoreboard for South.
So the final score once again, Pike 84, Bloomington South 62. Our thanks to all of you for joining us here on WTIU's coverage of Indiana high school basketball. For Tony Adrania, I'm Galen Clavio. We'll catch you folks on the flip side. So long, everybody.
Production support for this episode of WTIU's High School Basketball has been provided by The Hoosier Scoop, the app that helps you join the IU sports conversation. Use your mobile device to receive game updates, tweets, and analysis from IU sports reporters. To find it, go to your app store and search Hoosier Scoop.